My family has struggled with the American healthcare system for about as long as I can remember. And when I was born, my mother had to get a hip replacement maybe 6 months after, and we still have medical bills for that. We still get calls from collections agencies for that. Um, when I was 8, my sister had to be hospitalized for her asthma several times throughout the year. And when I was 10, my mom was diagnosed with lupus. And finally, on my brother's 12th birthday, he found out he had epilepsy. And he had to give up a lot for that. Um, you know, I went to an Our Revolution meeting last week, and I saw the Wheel of Misfortune, and it really hit home with me because I've been there. My family's been there. We've had the barbecue plate sales before, and I know other people who have. Because the last thing you want to worry about when you're dealing with like your grandpa who's dying from cancer is you don't want to have to worry about like the funeral expenses and the hospice bills. But that's exactly what my dad had to do. He was taking care of his dad, and at the same time my mom was getting worse with her lupus, and the bills just kept stacking up, and it was getting to him. And I know at the same time it just broke his heart that my brother had epilepsy and everything. And it's unfortunate that we live in such a wealthy country, and I know I'm not even my family's not even the worst. There's people out there who are literally too poor to live. And how can I be proud to say that I live in a country where we're told that you if you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work your hardest, that you'll be okay, that you'll make it. Like, you're told that from birth, and then you find out that the bootstraps are $1,000 each and there's no copay on them. That you find out that it's like the whole thing's rigged, and that there's people out there who sleep like a baby, knowing that like they're lining their pockets with the money of people who are dying, who they don't want their families to worry about them, but they don't have a choice because they're so sick and they can't take care of themselves anymore. And when my mom was first diagnosed with lupus, she had to give up her job as a pediatric nurse for 15 years because her immune system grew so weak from the chemotherapy that they told her if she kept working, she would die. And it broke her heart because she loved helping children. She loved being there for them and like talking to them as they were at the end of their life. And it's just egregiously unfair that things like that happen to good people, where you're just trapped. You get the cold calls at 10 o'clock at night from the collection agencies asking about like payment plans and everything, and it's like you just buried your grandpa, or you just found out that like your sister might have lupus as well. And it's like, for example, my brother, he's going to be 26 next year, and we all know what that means. He's going to have to find his own insurance, and no one will hire him because the moment he has a seizure and he has to call in on a shift, they just take him off the schedule for good. It's happened to him 5 times, and he can't find a job. And I'm so scared for him because he can't afford his medication, and I don't know what to do anymore. So it hurts. It hurts to know that we have this system that's so fundamentally broken that you have to worry at night wondering if your brother's going to be okay next year because he can't take care of himself anymore. And I just feel so guilty. And I know there's other people out there in my position who they're trapped too. And that's why that's why we need fundamental reform. That's why this whole idea of some laissez-faire corporate system where it's like it's the free market. It's like there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. There shouldn't have to be losers in a country that's so wealthy. There shouldn't have to be any losers. It's the 21st century. We should be able to afford to take care of everyone. It's a basic need. This is not some luxury. And I can't believe that we live in a country where it's touted as like not necessary. It's like those people who fight against it. They've never struggled. They don't understand what it's like to have to worry about your family because you don't know if they're gonna be able to afford some like a medication that without it they'll die. And it's just tragic. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's millions of out there that are like me, that are like my family, just worried about it. And that's why it makes me happy to know that there's people who are fighting, people who recognize that issue, even people who weren't born in those circumstances, that they recognize that there are people suffering and they're trying, they're fighting, and that gives me hope. And sometimes that's all you have when it seems so insurmountable, when the death's in the tens of thousands, when you find out that someone like Martin Scarelli is upping the price of his medication to $90,000. When one of the medications my mom takes, it went up in price a few years ago, and it was so bad that she got a call from a hospital in Detroit asking if they could postpone hers so that way they could give it to a child, because they couldn't afford both dosages. They couldn't afford it. So my mom gave up her medicine so so a child in Detroit could live. And how is that okay? How is that all right that things like that happen? I don't understand how this is like even a partisan issue. How is this partisan? This is universal. And I can't, it just blows my mind that there's people out there who think like, oh, they're crybabies. Oh, it's like, why is this a big deal? It is a big deal because people are dying for no good reason. There's no reason at all. And it's just happening because there's people who just want to line their pockets. And they don't care anymore. But we do. All of us do. And we need to let other people know that there's people who care. Because when you're stuck in that position, you get cynical. You feel hopeless because you hear the same stories over and over from the Democrats or the Republicans that it's like, we'll help you. And you see no change. You see nothing happen. And it makes you lose hope. But when there's new people, when there's like a new light on the horizon, you know, it gives you a glimmer again. And it feels good just to have that again. Just to have hope again. And just thank you for your time and everything.